Good there. All right, go ahead, Chris.
All right. Good morning. It is June 23rd, 2020, and we will call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everyone here in attendance and joining us remotely. We have 4 commissioners here, and Commissioner Burrell is joining us remotely. All right. So the county board minutes from June 16th.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve June 16th board minutes.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Potter. Is there any questions or changes? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Commissioner Burrell votes aye.
All right. Moving on to the agenda for today. Is there anything that we need to add or remove?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda as presented.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Potter. Any
Leek, did you have something?
I did not know.
Okay.
nothing, no other discussion? Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell votes aye.
All right. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Delyden.
Burrell will second.
There you go. I was going to
Seconded
say, Charlie,
by
you want that
Commissioner
one?
Burrell.
Yeah, Charlie wants it.
So nothing needs to be removed or discussed?
Madam
So-
Chair, if I could make one comment.
Oh,
On the consent
certainly.
agenda, you're seeing that under the Auditor's office, you're approving a budget amendment.
Yeah.
As we're going through our construction projects, our big projects, we found out that we issue bonds for kind of financing the projects, but we never really incorporate a budget into our accounting system. This action here is actually starting to create the budget inside our accounting systems. It allows you to see where we're at, how much funds we have left to go.
Yeah.
So even though we didn't adopt a budget, we're amending. This amendment is just taking those carryover funds and basically saying that's our budget for those projects.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Madam Chair, is this going into the new ERP system with these numbers, or? Because these numbers look a little bit different.
At the time we transition, it'll go in.
Okay.
So it'll be entered as carrying forward with IFS, but obviously that point of entry will be farther out from now. So
Okay.
whatever those balances and statements are at that time, we'll put those in.
So the second point is that as we adopt our operating budgets, we also approve a CIP. The CIP is now a budgeted type of activity. These projects are going to be treated just like a CIP. So
Okay.
they will have a budget, they have a landing spot. So by this, you're establishing a beginning of a budget.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell votes aye.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our timed items, and we welcome Ms. Jolene Foss, the Executive Director for Wright County Economic Development Partnership, and welcome to your new role, and welcome to Wright County.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you for having me here this morning. I do have an updated memo. Shall I hand them out, or?
Yes.
how would you
Yeah, that'd be
prefer
best.
that done? Okay.
Sure.
So we were kind of waiting for some last-minute approval from our board yesterday so that we would make sure that we were
Thank you.
on the right track formally with you guys. Thank you. So I think you got 2 there, which is fine.
Perfect.
'cause I only need 1.
All right, good, thank you.
All right, so the COVID-19 business assistant loans that were created by the partnership and Wright County to help out small businesses, provide emergency financing for them that had experienced hardship due to the pandemic and the restrictions. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. It was fairly recently. Of the applications received, we received 6 applications. You can see they're listed at the bottom. 2 from Annandale, 2 from Buffalo, 1 from Montrose, and 1 from Monticello. All of the applications have been reviewed by the review committee, and all of the documents that were requested were received. And then the review committee made a recommendation to the board to approve, to recommend to the county for approval. So today I'm asking for a motion to be made to approve the applications for these funds, and then we can work with the County Auditor to get these funds into the hands of these small businesses before July 1st.
I'll make a motion to approve these loans.
Second.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Delisle and seconded by Commissioner Potter. Yeah, I mean, this is great. Great to have this available for people. It's been a struggle for many.
It sure has.
Yeah, Madam Chair. I'm hoping these 5,000 will help them get by for a little while. I also noticed that I thought the state approved some additional funding too through the deed program. Yeah, the Initiative Foundation is going to be doing some additional loans. Is that what it was?
Actually, the
Grants?
$62.5 million that was made available is grants, $10,000 grants. There's only a 10-day application period, which begins today, and then they'll be doing a lottery for those. So
Okay.
it's a very interesting way to do it. I guess they'll see what kind of response they get in this 10 days, but I would encourage any minority-owned small business with 6 employees or less, women-owned, those with disabilities, veteran-owned, or if they own a space in a global marketplace, there's a specific amount set aside for those as well. So it's a very, very good thing the state is doing for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys made it easy. I appreciate it.
Madam Chair?
And we haven't voted on it, right?
No.
Oh, yeah.
We started talking and then it's like, I don't think we voted.
Mike has a
Middle of the
question.
motion.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jolene, like I say, I'm one that was kind of disappointed, I guess, only having 6 applications. I was thinking more. I did talk to a few business owners, and they said 5 wasn't enough to really help them over the hump. 10 or more probably would have been a difference. And some were confused on, they thought it was going to be too cumbersome to do this. I says, no, it's a very simple, lean, easy process. So I think for whatever, we tried to get the word out, and somehow it didn't resonate, didn't connect there. I would hope that after this, because there's $200,000 available and this is $30,000, hopefully we'd be able to maybe modify or go for a second round of this just to help some of the people that were either confused, didn't know, or maybe modify that number. I don't know where the 5,000, if that came from the state or that was our self-imposed 5. I was trying to go through the minutes where we came up with the 5 number.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
the funds, I believe, now, of course, I came in the middle of the process, but I believe that there was a limited time that the state was going to allow counties to use their Minnesota investment funds
MIF fund,
for
yeah.
retail, but it was only through July 1st, so which is why it was the urgency that we get these checks cut before the end of the month and get them into the hands of the business owners. So I think that I think that there may be a challenge to creating a second round of loans in larger amounts to be used for retail with these revolving loan funds that the county has. Hopefully, these small businesses will be able to find help with the new funds that are available for these grants. I would suggest these business owners you spoke to have them apply right away as soon as possible for the deed funds that are available, and then maybe we could consider a workshop or something to talk about what we might be able to do with the remaining $170,000 that was set aside for these. Maybe we can find a way to make those work.
Yeah. And Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Jolene, part of it is with business owners that are already under stress because of everything going on here. I think their patience is a little short on trying to get things, they think if too cumbersome. Anytime you talk about the state deed, anything like that, they start, whoa. I tried that once before, nothing but a nightmare, a waste of my time. And I think that's where the disconnect is. We got to see it. And since it was MIF money on this revolving loan fund, hopefully we'll be able to get the carry the message that, okay, 5 was nice, but we had businesses that say need just a touch more than that just to get over that hump. Because, you know, if you're in business, $5,000 doesn't go very far at all.
Very true.
I mean, so it's hopefully we can have some feedback input to them that thank you for this, but we need some modifications if we're going to do this again. We need to modify this a little bit to be more responsive to the business needs out there.
Madam Chair, if I may respond. I think that you're absolutely right about that. One thing that I would like to remind the commissioners is that the Wright County Economic Development Partnership is here to help assist those business owners so that when they feel overwhelmed by the process of applying, they can reach out to us and we can directly help them personally to help get them over the hurdles. Sometimes it is scarier than it is in real life once you get through the paperwork. On another note, if I may, I wanted to thank the Wright County Commissioners for the support to the Wright County Economic Development Partnership. I'm very proud to come into this position with this organization that's 27 years old and see the kind of support that the county has for an economic development partnership like this. So thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we were doing the interview process, you know, they always say the cream rises to the top, and you definitely rose to the top of the candidates we had. We had a couple uniquely qualified candidates, but the question is, there's no roots, no tie to here at all. That's kind of disconcerting, because is this just a stepping stone going somewhere else? You've got ties to the area and the state, which makes it easier for us to see that this one's going to stick around for a while. As you know, the director's been a revolving door since it started, and a lot of times it was a lack of support from the commissioners to the program. And if you, Heidi Pepper said she'd spent more time fundraising than actually doing her job, and that was frustrating for her. And that shouldn't be your job. Your job should go out to help promote the business, not fundraise. So hopefully, moving forward, we can do this a little bit more in a better quality, higher quality manner, and let you get to the job that we actually hired you to do.
Thank you, sir.
Madam
Right.
Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Gillane.
I don't know if this is the best time to do it, but either maybe after we vote, but maybe we could get a little bit of information about her. I know Commissioner Potter did the interviews and stuff, but, you know, I'd kind of be curious on who she is, why she's here, where she came from.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, is she an alien, you know, American, or, you know, Martian, or?
Hey, be careful now.
All right, so why don't we vote before we forget that, and then we'll ask Jolene for a little background. So, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Commissioner
Burrell
Burrell?
votes aye.
Thank you. All right. Kate, Jolene, yeah.
Would you like me
Commissioner
to
Burrell always likes to know, you know, where you came from and where you live and.
No problem. I'm happy to give you a little background if now is the time.
Sure.
My name is Jolene Foss. I was born in Princeton and went to high school, graduated high school in Princeton. I moved over to St. Cloud right out of high school, and I've been a resident of St. Cloud for the last 25 years. I have 4 children that go to the St. Cloud School District. My background was in education, and I had an early childhood education degree. Ran a licensed child care facility for over 10 years in Way Park. And 12 kids, 12 hours a day for 10 years is fabulously rewarding and somewhat challenging. And so in 2011, I decided to choose a new path. Went back to St. Cloud State. I had an associate's degree, so I completed my bachelor's degree in planning and community development. This is the second career path for me. I was hired to be the city planner and the economic development director for the city of Princeton. And I was there for 4 years, and then I was recruited to become the executive director of the St. Cloud Downtown Council. I was there only 2.5 years, and this last winter, they came upon some extreme challenges regarding special events, membership, and it was a nonprofit organization similar to the Wright County Partnership, but they struggled a lot with the commitment by their membership, and they didn't have the support from the county and city that they really needed to thrive. So it was similar to what Commissioner Potter mentioned, is that I spent a lot of time fundraising, but not as much time actually doing the work that needed to be done. And so in February, I recognized that there was an opportunity here with Wright County, and after encouragement from my friends at the SBDC in St. Cloud, I applied, and apparently there were many applications, and I'm very honored and I'm very happy to have been chosen to lead this organization. I got to have 2 weeks of training with Dwayne before he retired, so it was nice to spend a little bit of time with Dwayne and get to know the ropes of the organization, find out what a wonderful support the partnership has, and that has so many members are cities within the county, and then this great support from the county, especially the increased support that the county has shown this year in particular. That's a big thing for a partnership like this, a nonprofit organization. Economic development is sometimes hard to quantify, but of course you commissioners understand it, so I wouldn't waste any time explaining economic development. And our IT guys and our auditor and everyone here, I'm sure, understands the importance of economic development. Sometimes it is hard to measure, though, and it can sometimes be the first line item to get scratched if people are feeling a pressure, financial responsibility. So I'm hoping that I can show the county commissioners that we are good stewards of these funds and that our goal is to improve the quality of life for all of the residents within Wright County, for all of the individuals that are coming into Wright County to work. Our goal is to increase the property tax base, both commercial and residential, so that the county can thrive and continue to provide the high-level services that you already do provide. So that's our goal here, and that's a little background about me.
Yeah, great.
And thank you.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Commissioner Dryden.
Commissioner Potter, did you guys get her to sign a 10-year or a lifetime contract?
It was in blood.
Okay.
No, and Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We got to keep reminding not only ourselves, but the public that the economic development is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes time. This person that put together an outlet mall, it took 4.5 years, almost cost me my marriage on doing that. These things don't happen overnight. They take a while. You got to plant the seed, you gotta nurture it to get it to grow. And by creating the atmosphere of this is a place people want to be, that's when you start seeing the fruits of it. They come up quite a bit. And as far as your past career, Sheriff Derringer is running one of the largest daycares in Wright County right now. So you could swap stories with him on that. I mean, it's tough. When you're trying to handle that many personalities that takes one heck of a manager to do that, because that's not everybody can do that.
Madam Commissioner, if I may, I've learned one of the skills that has translated the best is in working with young people is that really adults are just oversized young people.
Yeah.
So, individual, unique understanding of each person, who they are and where they come from.
I am not.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
so Commissioner Potter, you guys still working on restructuring your board so that we can have a little bit more involvement, just so we can help get at the, I think, marketing boost that I think the Wright County Economic Development Partnership could use a little bit more face time and getting more of their information out to the public across the county as a whole?
That is still part of the plan. That is why we're going
Awesome.
this. Because we know we gotta step up our game in Wright County from what we did. You can't just here, there a little bit. We need to step this up big time. We have opportunities here. Being this close to the metro, and with the nonsense going on downtown, there are businesses and manufacturers that want to leave there because they don't have law enforcement, they can't count on them. And so my challenge is every single manufacturer in Minneapolis, and that just, hey, Wright County is a great place to be. And even on the news this morning, a big corporation out of Seattle is moving to Phoenix. They're out, they're done. You want to have that chaos, we're out of here. I mean, and that's the same thing downtown. In Minneapolis, they're starting to see a lot of businesses looking at their options, looking to get out of there, and even in their office building structure down there. So a lot of them are rethinking: do I really need to be downtown? Because if you can't protect your employees, then you've got a problem there, because nobody's going to want to come there.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair,
Commissioner
at least
Beck.
I would say you have a lot of growth potential in Wright County, just
You
because
do.
there's a lot of people that are not familiar with the Wright County Economic Development Partnership, and B, there's a lot of people doing a lot of incubator businesses out of their garages that if we can connect you with them, I think we have a lot of growth
We do.
opportunity. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of getting the word out there and helping them find the funds and the financing they need.
Yep. Good point.
Thank you,
So,
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We now have Donna Athman, the business manager for the sheriff's office, with a couple of grants.
Good morning, Commissioners and
Morning.
Madam Chair. 2 light lifts for you today. I have come to you with the 2020 Boat and Water Safety Grant. They are going to give us $21,224 that will be used on boat and water enforcement, specific safety activities for this year. So we just need a resolution that will allow us to accept that grant and move forward with that. This is the grant we get every year. It was delayed this year for various reasons, so it is a little bit late. I do not anticipate us having any problem spending out this grant. It does go for 1.5 years if we need it to, but I think the paperwork gets messy when you change years, so it'll be done this year.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the 2020 DNR Annual County Boat and Water Safety Grant.
Motion made by Commissioner Betch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden.
Okay.
Is there any discussion on this? Yes, it's a welcomed grant every year, for sure. So, thank you. No more discussion, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell, both sides.
All right. Thanks, Shauna. And then
The
the
second
next.
grant I have in front of you is from the Department of Justice. They offered us an opportunity to write a grant for $39,098 and in response to coronavirus. So the budget for this grant is specifically to address personal protective equipment needs of the jail and the sheriff's office. Obviously, while we had some stocks on hand, we didn't have on hand what we would need if the coronavirus or when the coronavirus really breaks out in our area. So this will also allow for if I am backfilling shifts on an overtime basis, because let's say I have a whole team of deputies who, for some reason, all contract corona and they're out. I can use this grant to cover the backfill pay to who I have to bring in. So this grant is also a 2-year time period. To put that in perspective for you, we've already purchased about $25,000 worth of PPE this year.
Yeah.
So there'll be some strategic discussion on whether we take reimbursement this year, next year, or the following.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Delyden.
you said you can use it for backfilling in the deputies. I'm also assuming you can also backfill it in the jail, too?
Yes, this one grant covers both jail and the sheriff's office as one unit.
Good.
Nice.
I'll make a motion to accept the COVID emergency response grant resolution.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Delyden, seconded by Commissioner Potter. Is there any other discussion? Yeah, I mean, it's great to have that, but you can go through 39,000 pretty quickly.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you have no problem.
there's no other discussion. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell, both sides.
All right, resolution passes.
Thank you,
Thanks, Shauna.
Commissioners.
Moving on to Mr. Bob Hevola.
Hey, good morning, Board, again, Madam Chair. Ryan reminded me in the consent agenda, before I get to the items, just on the consent agenda, the second item was to approve a budget amendment to move remaining PCI compliance funds to unallocated. So our new methodology of adopting budgets for our CIP projects, they now have a landing spot in our accounting journals. So this is a project that is finally done, and there's $50 left. So we're going to transfer that $50 back to the unallocated CIP, so it can be reallocated out. But this is really kind of setting that precedence. Ryan worked hard to get this built into the budget, so this is precedence, small dollar amount, but a precedence. So no action.
Chair,
just-
I just want to comment on that. I appreciate Ryan and Bob's office and administration bringing much more transparency to our CIP in this fashion, where before it kind of lived in an area outside of the budget that was really hard for anybody to kind of find out how much of those funds have been spent and how much funds are really in there being spent, so.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I concur with
Potter.
Commissioner Vetch. I mean, I was trying to get information on how Bertram Lake Park was acquired and where's the budget, where's the money, and I couldn't find it, and I couldn't point to anybody in the direction, where would you find that information? So this is a step in the right direction. So all these things need to see the light of day so people can see where the money's being spent at and how it's being spent and why, and it's a good thing.
Yes.
Board, that was just kind of FYI, but you approved the consent. I wanted you to understand what you approved.
Yep, thank you.
So the first item on the agenda is approve a plat. It's a registered land survey, so it's not really it's like a plat. How's that? It doesn't require the townships to sign off on it. The surveyor has given his opinion. He signed off on it. So it's for the Lampe land in Albion Township. Plat's in the back, so if you approve it, just sign it like you would a plat. Lee would need to sign it as well.
Yep,
Madam Chair,
yes.
what's the difference?
I knew you were going to ask that. It's Torrance property, so when you have to take formal action. Kathy and Trinity aren't here, so they would explain a whole lot better, but it's Torrance property that takes a formal action.
It's like a title card. Instead of an abstract, it's a title card.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the plat,
All right.
number 48.
Motion made by Commissioner
Second.
Delyden, seconded by Commissioner Potter. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell, both sides.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, the second item on the agenda is to approve the performance grant. when we built our budget, we said we were going to apply for a grant through the state auditor's office to basically document certain performance measurements for the county. Brian's kind of led that up, so I'm going to have him go over that with you.
Okay, welcome, Ryan.
Madam Chair, Board. So, basically, I'm just here to have you guys accept or approve this resolution for this grant. It's a per capita grant, so we get approximately or a little over $10,000. So for this grant, we just have to present these performance measures that you approved for us to gather from last year. So with this resolution, we just have to approve these measurements that will be brought to you again next year in June and for this grant. So if there's any questions, I could. But basically, all the measurements are really stagnant or about the same as last year.
All right, so we have a number of categories: public safety, highway, public health, social services, public records, valuations, assessment, elections, veteran services, parks, libraries, budget, financial, and environment. So there's a number of performance management.
Yeah, for the grant, Madam Chair, for the grant, you have to present one measurement per those functions of government, so.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I like this template here, because this is like a cheat sheet simple for people if they want to find something, here it is. You know, you don't have to try to dig and ask a million questions to get just one answer. There's a lot of segments of this I do like. I think that we have different characters in the county that have always asked those off-the-wall questions of what's going on over there and there. Nothing to do with what you think they're going to talk about, but this puts a few of those in perspective for them. Here it is. Board of Equalization. People, utilization rate, what's our assessment ratio rate here? It spells it out right here. It's pretty, these are things I like for people to see, you know, and where's our bond rating, where's this, where's that? I mean, these are things that, transparency, it gets back to that. Here, we've got nothing to hide here. So like I say, I'm happy with some of these, what's transpiring out of here as far as transparency goes. Again, you heard it earlier. Some of these issues in the past weren't very transparent. We need to be more transparent so people aren't anti-government, anti-this. They understand why we're doing it. Because most people, when you ask them for money, they want to know why. Before I grab a dollar out of your pocket, I better be able to explain to you why I want that dollar. And then you can say, that makes sense, or what the heck are you doing here? That's the way I look at some of the people that I talk to that look at it. I mean, you got to justify the money, and if you got a way to spell it out easy for them to find.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Betch.
all of the metrics are very good, except for the Parks and Library is like kind of touchy-feely feelings, where all the other ones are like really quantifiable factors. And that's what's interesting. I'm surprised that they didn't chosen for Parks and Libraries utilization versus like, not like, just because it's a odd metric.
Yeah, Madam Chair,
Yes,
Betch.
Ryan.
For this grant, there's only there's only two that you could choose from for this grant for that, and this is one of them. And, this is for the parks, so there wasn't like a high number of surveys completed either.
Yeah.
So.
Which, whatever.
Yeah,
I just thought it was
yeah.
interesting because like, compared to all the other things that we measured on were quantifiable things, and then the other ones just kind of like we like or we don't like. It's kind of an odd measurement.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the performance management grant.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner DeLeyden. Is there a second?
Oh, I'll second it. I'm sorry.
Seconded by Commissioner Vetch. This is a resolution. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell votes aye.
All right, thank you. And the schedule
Chair,
committee of the whole.
Yeah, so the audit is complete. We did have a chance to talk to the audit firm about some of the findings and recommendations. This is an audit exit. This is where they're going to engage you, talk about the condition of the county, and you've been through them before.
Yep.
But this would be, in the past, we did this as a committee of the whole. So I'm recommending July 14th, it's a Tuesday, if that works for you guys.
It's a workshop day, that's perfect.
Yeah, CLA requested if we did do that, could we do it in the morning, sometime in the morning?
Madam Chair, I was just thinking we could add this as the first workshop topic,
Okay.
as Doug had
That makes
requested
sense.
that we do it early, so
Yep,
Perfect.
maybe add that as the first agenda item at 9.
yep. That sounds good. Like a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept the,
Madam Chair, I missed the date that was proposed.
It will be on the July 14th. It'll be the first item on the workshop.
Oh, on July 14th.
Yep.
Okay.
That
Sounds
work?
good.
That work for you? All right. All
Yep.
right. And motion was made by Commissioner Delyden. To put
I'll
that-
second that.
And seconded by Commissioner Burrell. More discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell votes aye.
All right. Thank you. Next item, Virgil, are you on?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners. I've got 2 items this morning for your consideration for Highway.
All right.
The first item is to approve resolution of final acceptance for the Highway 34, 35, and 37 Centerline Rumble Strip project, and approve authorized final payment in the amount of $275.94. The final total of the work was $102,608.70, and 90% of that was with a safety grant from the state. So there's a resolution.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution of final acceptance for CASA 34, 35, 37 for the Center Line Rumble Strip project.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Is there any discussion on that?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Vetch, or Delyden? One of you.
It's that spiky gel. It's the spiky gel, Mark.
Yes.
Oh. Do I have to put some in my hair too?
You do.
Virgil, did you guys have any issues with this surface preparation regarding any
No.
issues at all?
No, other than trying to get the final paperwork finalized out. We had a number of communications back and forth with them just to get everything finalized so we could bring it to the board for final acceptance. But other than that, the work itself went fine.
Okay. Hearing no more discussion, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Burrell votes aye.
All right, thank you. And the next item.
Yeah, thank you. The next item is just, I'd like to distribute the 2019 Highway Department Annual Report. And this is just to give you some time to review it. We'd like to bring it back for the July 7th meeting for final acceptance. So I'd just like to distribute it today and give you a chance to look it over and let me know if you have any questions. And I'll bring it back for acceptance on July 7th. So there's really no action needed.
Yeah, it's very complete. Very complete, and thank you for all the work you put into that every year.
Well, I'll give credit to Patsy, our highway accountant. She does a great job collecting all this data with input from our other staff too, but she does a great job.
Sounds good. All right. So we will look forward to getting that in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Virgil. So down to items for consideration. We have the Committee of the Whole minutes from June 11th, and if you would please summarize them kind of I don't think we need to go too detailed on
10 words
this,
or less.
Commissioner Potter, but yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As all you know, that she truly loves me, gives me this nice, long Committee of the Whole. Committee of the Whole, we met on June 11th, and it was to go over the Baker-Tilly report in reference to the Wright County Sheriff's Office Organization and Management Review. It took a while to get this done. It was kind of in-depth. There was some good points, some not so relevant points, I should say, how you run our sheriff's department, because ours is kind of unique. We have a lot of contract city, and it doesn't take into like a city-type force, like in some of the questions we had there. They had it in the corrections division, the business management division, and operations division. They have broken it down in different things. Going through this, they had some recommendations. Some are obtainable, some are not. And I think there was a learning curve for them with how this operation goes, a little unique for them. And I think some of the things were taken well, and some things need to be adjusted, modified, approved. Overall, I think they had there's just informational recommendations we could do. They didn't realize we went to the longer shift. They didn't realize a couple things, which it's hard to say where that communication broke down or what happened there, but this COVID thing kind of messed up everything. But all in all, in my opinion, what came out is that the sheriff's department is running fairly well, as well as we can be expected for everything going on. And this is not a one-size-fits-all type program here, and nothing in here just, they got crime stats, benchmarks, different things, just boilerplate stuff for that the sheriff's department deals with all the time, and how you deal with some of these items in here. But this is all informational. It's all online, so it's all transparent. You can see it.
Pretty comprehensive.
Oh, it's 47 pages worth of comprehensive.
It's more than 47 pages. I think it was 81.
Or 81, excuse me, I was right. That 47 was that other one. This one's now 84, 85. Yeah. So it's like, and they want to establish a TAS Sheriff Office work group for understandings of service needs, requirements, expectation, which I think they're already doing that. But, the thing is, it's quite an in-depth report, and I think if you are in the criminal justice system, you'll understand a lot of this really quick. If you're a novice on it, it takes a little while. You're going to be asking a lot of questions because this is really intense, what's in here. And there's really no recommendations coming out. It's just a report and what did for the roadmap going forward. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole Baker-Tilly report.
Madam Chair, I'll second that, and I also want to make a comment.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Potter, seconded by Commissioner Vetch. Commissioner Vetch.
Now, I don't want anybody to get the idea that there was no value in this study. There was still an immense amount of value in this dive into the Sheriff's Department. A lot of it is in the relationship between us and our municipalities, and really illustrating how we need to grow together with our cities in meeting our future law enforcement needs, and it has to be kind of a mutual growth from a county perspective and from the municipality perspective if we want to be able to meet the metrics that we want to in 5, 10, and 15 years in terms of keeping crime prevention low and a high quality of life. So, and that's where a lot of that information came valued to it to help us maybe get the municipalities in the county to understand that this is something that they have to partner with us, and this is going to help us tell that story. So,
And I think too, when you bring in an outside, independent group that has no connection to the county, they can take just, a very open look at everything and evaluate. And they've certainly done that with a number of departments. So it's not their first time doing this. So I think that has a lot of value too, because it's just like everything, when you step back and take a look at something objectively, it's easier to evaluate what's good. And generally speaking, we have a great department, a great sheriff's office, and like they said, there's a lot of optimism and certainly great employees. So we have a lot to be thankful for.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't, you apologize if I came off dismissive of the report, because that wasn't the
No.
intention. The intention is we have a unique situation here. Contracted cities, which is not a normal thing for anybody to go to deal with. And, you know, I'm sure there was a few rubs here and there, because it's not apples to apples. There's a lot of different dynamics playing here. I think that having an outside company do this report shows the transparency that it wasn't just the sheriff's department cook in the books on this thing. It was outside thing, and it was open for a lot of discussion, good dialogue on how we can work in the future. And I think it's like say, the roadmap to the future for us, and to help our municipalities understand the job that they have to do, and they're part of the partnership in getting this done. I mean, it's with all the things going on in the world today, I mean, we're glad to be a little bit ahead of that curve on getting some of this stuff done, so people understand what all transpires when you're doing this job.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Potters and Betts bring up a good point. Did Baker Tilly talk to any of the municipalities at all regarding this study?
No, I don't believe so.
Chief Deputy just stated that he didn't think that Baker Tilly talked to any of the municipalities regarding this. Have we sent this out to the municipalities that we contract with?
Chief Deputy is coming to.
Madam Chair, while you're coming up here, we did talk about it, and Sheriff Derringer at our Mayor's Association meeting did offer to send it out to any of them that were interested to it. I did present a number of the municipal graphs and metrics within the Baker Tilly report at the Mayor's Association meeting.
Okay, great.
Yep. So we did talk about it at a certain length. I don't know that you guys are going to bring it up at the with the administrators or not, but it was definitely a discussion piece that we were going to have kind of over the progression of the next year plus, kind of based on that conversation.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you. So we have not disseminated it to the cities yet. We were waiting for the final presentation and for it to be officially adopted by the board before that we disseminate it out. So
Okay.
that is your question.
So that is, it's kind of planned then to get that
Yes.
in
Yep.
their hands.
We also, part of the agreement with the other comparison agencies, we asked for their data. In return, we said we would let them know what the final report was and how their county compared to ours with respects to crime data, staffing levels, all that type of thing.
Okay, thank you. All right,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. I don't know, we didn't,
did we do that?
Yeah, I already made a motion.
You have a motion.
Yeah,
I'll
second it.
Let's second it.
oh, okay,
Yep.
sorry.
Thank you.
That was so long ago.
I know.
We've had a lot of motions today. So,
Emotions?
any more discussion? If there's no more discussion, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 All vote aye.
All right, thank you. The Committee of the Whole on June 17th, Commissioner Delyden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee of the Whole met on the 17th. The discussion was regarding child protection. There's 12 pages of information. I'm not going to go over all of it. People can read it. Information that was distributed was a random drug testing policy and procedures, general child welfare statistics, the general child welfare statistics from the state of Minnesota through the third week of May and how we compare. Our Wright County Health and Services project proposal service with Alaya, and then Wright County Child Welfare Performance Measures. What it kind of came down to was some concerns regarding some particular cases where Commissioner Burrell would like to see another oversight with a couple of commissioners and administration to have just kind of a review of ones that had concerns when we get complaints, just at a higher level. It's not that it's not being reviewed now. We have defense attorneys that are dealing with it. our prosecuting attorneys. Not every case that Health and Human Services brings gets prosecuted, so it's not like there's anything not being reviewed currently that gets changed. And again, recommendation is that we continue discussion at future Health and Human Services board meetings. And again, there was some discussions whether private attorneys or public defenders provide the best representation. But again, a lot of people can't afford a private attorney. We have one of the best ones around. They do a great job. Do we get complaints? It's a very personal process that people have to go through when they're possibly losing their children. We're going to get complaints. There's no question about that. So how we handle it and if we do the best job that we can is the way we got to deal with it.
All right.
And I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
And recommendations?
Chair.
Recommendations.
I think Commissioner Delight did a good job summarizing the meeting, so I'll second that.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Delight, seconded by Commissioner Burrell. Any discussion?
Thanks, Charlie.
Hearing none.
You're welcome.
Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Burrell votes aye.
All right. Thank you. The next item is to schedule a county board retreat in July.
Well, I'm gonna spend a day with you guys.
So as you know, we've been working through the next phase of our strategic planning, which has been meeting with the department heads and the commissioners. We've completed all those meetings and would like to pull together kind of an overall discussion and present that
Madam
to the
Chair,
board.
I can't hear Lee.
Oh. Wait, you may have to come over here and talk.
Very well.
Sorry about that. But
All right.
for some reason, it doesn't seem to pick up that mic as well.
Hey, Charlie,
he's
hope you
co-
can hear me as I'm closer now.
Hear you real good now.
All right, very good. So as I mentioned, we've had the next phase of the strategic planning discussions with the board and department heads presenting their SWOT analysis and how they fit into the value streams. I think it'd be good prior to our sessions for budget 2021 to discuss, have the board a chance, as all of you, to react to that process, as well as to discuss a few topics that have come up throughout the strategic planning process as a group. We're all on the same page. If possible, it would be great to do this prior to the upcoming leadership team with the board and the department heads. But I know schedules are complicated with the 4th holiday coming up, but so kind of done a quick casual poll. I think the nearest date that may work is the 6th of July, which is a Monday.
How does that work for everybody?
I can make July 6th.
I have doctor's appointment that morning.
What
Can we start
I like-
at 10 though, or is that?
It's 9:30.
Oh, so you're all okay. So all right then. What other days you guys wanted to go?
Oh, how many hours are we thinking?
Maybe we could do an afternoon. It feels like 4 hours might be pushing it a little bit, but we could maybe do it. Otherwise, if we're gonna look at a full day, let's maybe look at the 8th.
That's open.
Another option.
July 8th is good.
Either that or if we started at noon, I mean, if it went till 5, then or you couldn't be there like 11-ish or so?
I should
or
be able to be there by noon pretty easy.
Noon, pretty easy? I don't know, it might be nice to do it before the leadership, because then they could bring the results.
Leadership's on Tuesday that day.
Right, and we're,
Yeah,
Correct.
that's correct. That's a good point.
that's, because we're part of that leadership. I mean, that's a quarterly. I don't know.
Timing is challenging. I know we all have a lot going on.
We have a lot going on, but it's one of those things that may just be nice to
You started it.
have our retreat and get these things out. And
Is-
Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Burrell?
Well, I was just wondering if there was any chance of getting it in next week at all? Or last, the week before, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Somebody's not going to be around next week.
somebody's gone.
I'd say we just
Okay,
shoot for
got it.
11:30, and hopefully Michael will make it there, and we'll just shoot for 11:30, and we should. I mean, we can. I would imagine in 5 hours by 4:30, we probably will be.
I would
close,
think so. And I mean, even 4 hours will probably, that's a pretty
Just take a,
good session.
Session, yeah.
Yeah.
okay?
Or
Pick up your lunch on the way in.
Bring your own lunch.
Where are we gonna have this?
Bring your
Up
own
in
lunch, Charlie.
Maple Lake?
Yeah, wanted to land the
Right.
date first and then look into availability, but was thinking we'd use Nye again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a nice
That's
spot.
a nice facility.
Charlie, I'm hoping you'll be able to join us.
That would be my question, is there like, a phone connection out there and stuff?
There is, but it would really be nice, Charlie, if you could join us. I mean, it'll
You
just
could
be,
sit outside.
it'll just be,
We'll open the window.
it won't be that many people there.
Can be six of us, 7 of us probably.
So it would be, it'd be really
Think
nice,
about-
Charlie.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We can
Well, I
talk
know
offline too, Charlie.
Yeah, we can talk off. we can-
I'll talk to you later about it. I
Yeah,
guess.
okay.
We'll leave it at that.
So, is there a motion to set, now you said 11:30?
Yeah.
11:30. So move, Madam Chair.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Potter, seconded by Commissioner Glyden to set a retreat for the commissioners on July 6th at 11:30. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll.
Madam Chair, and that would be at Nye Park, but you said?
That's what they're shooting for, and we have to confirm that, the availability,
Okay.
but, yeah. We'll let everybody know where. So, That, roll call vote?
Aye.
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 Rob, what's that?
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, the alternate location is the palatial Burrell Estate in
Ah.
prestigious Woodland Township.
Yeah, we could go to Charlie.
Good.
It's easy to social distance outside,
Sure enough, our luck had
That
rained.
would work.
yeah.
The other option would be then probably Bertram Lake or something.
Bertram,
too.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nay would be nice. And it would really be nice, Charlie, if you could join us in person.
Yeah,
We'll all wear our masks. I'll wear my ski mask, in fact. You won't have to even look at my face.
all right. Next item, coronavirus. Is there any,
I'll just go up again. I don't have any major updates. We've just continued this on the agenda as an item in case there would be any action items. I think we could probably strike it in the future. Just to give a quick update, I mentioned at the last board meeting about the CARES Act, the federal money that's come through. As you know, the legislative session stalled out and they've dismissed. I don't know if another special session is going to happen. Waiting to find more information if that will take place or if the governor will take executive action to get those funds out. So monitoring that. I know other staff have also had various discussions with their groups about that funding and kind of the status of it. So more to come, I guess.
Madam Chair, so
Yes,
it's very
Commissioner.
unlikely that there'll be a special session since the governor is given statutory authority to delegate any federal funds that come in post-legislative sessions. So at this point,
Yeah.
he can do what he would like with all those $841 million.
Executive order.
Executive order, yep. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
where we'll go from here.
Sarah Grotius is here and,
Yeah, Madam Chair, I thought that he would call another one on July 12th. Yeah, for.
Extended
Well,
powers.
Yep.
he's mentioned it, but we'll see.
It could be, but these funds, a lot of these things have to be done sooner than later, by June 30th, I believe. So he's going to have to take executive order within the next
No,
week.
regarding that, and it
Correct.
seems to me.
So, and I shared this with Lee, and I know Commissioner Hewsome, you heard the governor on our shack call yesterday, asked for feedback from the county commissioners that were on the WebEx with him from it's a state-county partnership for public health that has existed long before the pandemic. And the over-resounding response was, please distribute the funds.
Release the funds.
Gazelka, Senator Gazelka was on the NPR this morning, so I guess take that for a grain of salt, suggesting that there would be potentially at least a one-day special session to resolve the bonding bills, which would be great.
That must have came in really recently because
I was driving in, I stayed in the car at like 7:50 to hear the news.
Yeah.
That they're continue to work on that issue and wanting to have, from his perspective, wanting to have agreement before they come back together to only address those issues that are on the table. So there's some disagreement on those pieces that maybe things were not what everybody wanted to talk about.
Yep.
About that. So that would be addressed at a special session, but I would expect, based on the call yesterday, that they'll deal with what they need to for a special session. But it seemed like there was pretty good agreement on the CARES Act funding, the distribution plan. My guess is what was passed. The disagreement was not on the distribution plan, it was some other stuff that got thrown in, so if the governor just takes that and distributes it, that would be what. And then I just want to be transparent, I let Shauna know, we're also planning, that money has to be spent and sent to the state. They have to invoice the feds by December, so I think our deadline in the statute language was like November 15th, so, but we can back bill. So saving her PPE funds for other stuff, depending on how we spend all of our CARES Act funding.
Sarah, the next item, unless you have something more on COVID, the next item is our advisory committee, advisory board updates. Would you like to, share some? I didn't take a lot of notes on my State Community Health Services Advisory Committee. It was, generally speaking, hearing from Jan Malcolm, the Department of Health Commissioner, and Governor Walz, but also in Harlan Madsen, he's going to be retiring, so he's not going to run again, and so that's kind of sad. He's been a commissioner for 26 years and very active, a very active committee commissioner. I serve with him also on the Workforce Center, or the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, so as well as SHAC. But if there's anything you want to share, there was good questions from people, things like, random things that I didn't think about. They said that they're thinking that there would be less incidents when summer comes for people, and actually it is. For us, it seems to be plateauing, and Commissioner Malcolm had mentioned that instead of the university model that it would go like this and then come down like this, it's more following another model that we have a little outbreak and there's kind of a plateau and then whatever, and it might go, seems to be on the downhill trend. But what comments that she made from the southern states where it is hot is that people are, inside. So actually, it's hot, so they're driven kind of inside in air conditioning. So I don't know, that's something that she threw out, and it's, okay, maybe, maybe that's true. So there's a lot of information flowing out there, but, so what were some of your?
So we've had those conversations in our Emergency Operations Center as well as watching the Southern Hemisphere as they move into their fall and winter period, because they're obviously reversed seasonally. Lots of transmission in some places and some states where it was hot, or countries, excuse me, when the first exposure happened, particularly I think of Australia was able to manage it very well. And we've mentioned before, I think at board, where Australia is often seen as a beacon for flu, because that's where we track a lot of that progression as it moves across the globe. I think what's also just really interesting, not only that piece, it's combined with there isn't a whole lot of social distancing happening in a lot of open outdoor space, so crowded beaches and some of those things. So there's still the possibility of transmission when you're in close proximity of each other, even when you're outside, especially if you're doing something that's very active. So we'll continue to see, the state continues to move that dial, and that's not an immediate necessarily spike in cases. It takes time, which is somewhat good. It gives us the time to adjust and respond appropriately as we see things uptick. One thing that we are continuing to look at too is the access to testing. I think we heard some very specific information about no barriers testing that happened past weekend in Bauer County. That was something that both Commissioner Malcolm and the governor shared about, that there was testing available, so it wasn't related to any health insurance or documentation status. And then we've heard some feedback that I'm hoping to hear more from the state around that. We're seeing the incidence be higher in places that are close to testing. So there is some barrier to testing. It could be that people are symptomatic, but not feeling super sick, and it's perceived as I'm making conjecture, but could be perceived as inconvenient to drive 20 or 30 miles to go to a testing site for some of our folks. They're seeing that testing positive seems to be clustered around testing sites. So basically, if you build it, they will come and you find that you have positives, but there are positives in the community that still aren't able to get testing.
Madam Chair, I think there's like a lot of miscommunication now, because we went from the standpoint, if you had these symptoms, don't get tested, just stay home, to now, if you have these symptoms, go get tested. And I guess I don't know that we were able to really do that 180 change to getting people to understand that.
It's hard,
Yeah,
yes.
and that's the other question, that they felt like maybe the information isn't getting out there to counties. And, I mean, that was one person's concern, one commissioner's concern, that she didn't feel that they were getting enough information, and that it was mixed messages, and she's getting a lot of comments from citizens, and
I believe that was the commissioner from Isanti, is that correct? Yeah.
Susan Morris?
Also very active on CHEC as well, and AMC. Mentioned, I think, a lot of feedback from the public, wanting more information, and asking for some more transparency. I think certainly we have been continuing to give feedback about the data requests, knowing that people really want data right now, which is great, because sometimes we wish people would be more data driven, and now they really, really are hungry for it, and it's been a little bit difficult to get some things, but you saw that the number of tests available, the number of people from Wright County who've been tested is now available in our reports on a weekly basis. Those come out on Thursday, and we're able to update our local surveillance report on the same time frame. Unfortunately, it's not very high. So when you look at our data, we have a testing rate of less than 5% of our population has been tested, and then a positivity rate then with our positive tests somewhere between 6.5% and 7%. And when you look at those state and national metrics, you want a positivity rate under 2%.
right,
Madam Chair, and
Commissioner Rich.
I believe there's probably a lot of the population that is ignorance is bliss. So if your symptoms are mild, they're just, if I don't know, maybe it's a cold, but I don't want to know.
I mean, even like the flu, he had the flu, but you don't necessarily go in and, get tested for it. So there's a lot of people that have things that aren't diagnosed with them. So, and who knows with this, if they might have had it, and Jan Malcolm said,
Yep,
this
earlier.
is here months before we knew it. So they're
Yep.
recognizing that, and that a lot of it is not just came from China, but from Europe and from all over. And I've had a number of people that said, I think I had it in December, I think I had, so because of, you go in and one person said, actually two that went into the emergency room, and three, actually more than that, but just three that are coming to mind right now in different months, and no, you don't have the flu, you must have some virus. So that was before, they recognized that this was COVID-19 or coronavirus, so likelihood that they did have it, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they're finding lots of research too that multiple touch points, but that didn't necessarily, because people maybe were ill and decided to stay home or didn't have a large social network, they didn't end up starting in a large community spread, which that's what we want. So without testing, I think the concern is that people, the ignorance is bliss. The risk is that then they continue to go about their daily activities and expose unknowing people unwittingly. And we still run into cases where people feel like they've been following the guidance and become positive, and they're not sure where they were exposed, and they're taking precautions. So that that is the risk factor, right? So everybody, as we all must do, is assume what risk tolerance they have. But then what we encourage with our staff, and certainly with the public, is be gracious with our community members and our coworkers, that we don't know what other people's lives are like or what their situation is, and don't assume your risk tolerance is the same as somebody else's.
Right.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
the one thing that's really interesting about this whole thing is that the severity of the cases in different pockets without the nation are so different. There's different areas where they may have a lot of outbreaks, but the severity of the outbreaks are very mild. There's other areas, especially down in the southern states, the severity of the cases are tending to be, from what I'm seeing, more severe than they are in the areas where we're at. But the outbreak, the number of cases are still somewhat similar. It's just the severity, and I guess we can't still figure out what is causing the severity.
Why some people get hit so hard and
Yes,
others
yeah.
don't even know they have it. That's what I don't get, you know?
I think, so that's that piece, you know, there's certainly lots of research that is being done as we speak about if there's some correlation to blood type or similar genes close to that blood type gene that is in play. Certainly, we know that levels of comorbidity are very different, and some of the states that you mentioned have high levels of comorbidity, obesity, diabetes, much more than Minnesota does. And we have our own issue to deal with, which is long-term care, right? So we seem to have struggled there, although many places have come through it quite well. We continue to partner with our long-term care folks, and I know that I sent you a specific message about that. Some of that work will happen this week, so.
Well, thank you. Yeah. All right. Anyone have any other advisory?
Madam
Committee
Chair, I'll
update.
just make my commentary here. With the COVID-19 outbreak and the models that they put out there, they had a lot of that Chicken Little, not based on science, but based on something else. We were going to have 40,000 people die in this state. Didn't transpire, and a lot of people I talked to don't have a lot of trust that come out of these models. The one that the governor was placed on was put out by 2 university grad students over the course of a weekend. Okay, that doesn't quite resonate as scientific to me. And in the future, hopefully, when they put the models out there, actually a little bit closer based on reality and science as much as they can versus the Chicken Little syndrome, which I think got a lot of people just, I don't trust any word that's coming out of your mouth because you've said this to me and it's not true. And we all know it's Trump's fault, that's fine, but you know, he can take the blame. But hopefully in the future, now they get the handle on this pandemic and what's going on, or they come out with a better modeling for people so they have trust in that. Because with all the different models they came out with, one had this, one had that. In retrospect, they'll be able to see which are, but in the future, hopefully that they don't do that as far as Chicken Little syndrome, because a lot of people got unnecessarily burdened and are really mad now because there was no reason to shut this down. I know that Governor Walz got a phone call from one of the congressmen asking why one size fits all on this when the outbreak is in certain urban pockets and not out in the country, you know, and you're killing small town businesses, which you get farther out state, as the more this goes on, those businesses are not coming back. There's no way. They don't have the population to help bring it back. Where we have that population, you take Big Stone, I'll pick on it, Breckenridge. A lot of the businesses going there, they're done. They won't be able to survive, and they do not have an economic development thing. Indeed, by the time they get through that process, it's already too late.
And that was part of the questions too, is can we look at more of a regional things instead of just the one size fits all for the state?
Right, and that's, I know
That's what
that's
they're
what the one
looking at,
congressman was
too.
trying to get the governor to do, is say, if you're gonna do this, please modify this to, you know, have different criterias where if you don't have the outbreaks, if you only have 2 cases in your county, I mean, that doesn't warrant total shutdown. The other thing, Madam Chair, is just get off that soapbox here. I-94 meeting update on what the bill grant last year transpired, and a potential for an infrastructure bill. Speaker Pelosi has been pushing for something now. I think that they were perplexed by the dollar amount that the president actually put out in the first place. They didn't think he was going to throw out that high a number, and I think that just kind of caught him off guard. They're still working on it, but there's not much progress there, but it has been introduced as far as discussion points, so hopefully in the House they get that rolling. That's our point there for the federal end of this. And the 94, trying to get with the state with the bonding bill, and hopefully with Senator Gazelka, he can get them to separate out all the different issues. Okay, now we have 3 different issues to deal with. Let's do the bond issue now. Let's get that taken care of instead of lumping the police thing with the bond with this, you know, trying to lump it all together, trying to segregate these out a little bit so they can get something done. Looking forward to if he's successful on that. I know they're having some talks with some of the people in swing districts that are worried about reelection. Know that if a bonding bill doesn't come out, especially on the Democratic side of the aisle, they're worried about, hey, this is going to come back and bite us, and I don't want to get bit like that. And also, we're part of the MnDOT starting a freight corridor study. Starts today and goes through July 15th. So I'll be talking with Administrator Bott on this and how we want to have a response with the 94 coalition. And then I'll talk with SRF and Virgil on our other corridors too, how this might affect or how we want input on this. You know, because we've got 94, 55, 12, and 25, so those are freight corridors. How we can make sure our voice is heard at the table, so when they do the future plan, that we're at the table instead of on the menu again.
Oh, it's too late. I already did my survey yesterday.
Did you do it?
Good. Fill another one.
Oh, okay.
That's all you have.
All right.
Can I do multiple ones? They really asked me for information on who it was.
Commissioner Vetch.
So last week on Thursday, I testified before the House Transportation Committee in regards to the road tests and written tests by the State Department of Public Safety. Interesting conversations that took place there. Kind of frustrated that there was a lot of I would like to use ignorance as the word to that this was an issue prior to COVID. You know, I guess it was.
Well,
I was kind of surprised on the responses, largely that it was like, oh, now we have to do something because we got this backlog because of the 19,000 that we got backlogged because of COVID. And I'm thinking, if you're measuring that it was okay if we get back to February's metrics,
right.
we have a bad.
It was going on long before
that.
COVID, but that just made it way worse.
Way worse. And then, okay, so they go for the efficiency model going from 93 stations to 14 stations, which created huge inequities. Okay, you increase from doing 600 tests a day to 705, which even still at 705, you still won't be able to make up all of your backlog by October 31st. They have a backlog that they will force out to about 81,000 by the end of October. They'll, based on 705, if they can't ramp that up to above 900 a day, they won't be able to just catch up to February's, you know, the what I call post-COVID metric.
We can't send them to Wisconsin or Iowa for a Minnesota driver's license.
And you know what I also find just super shocking is the Department of Public Safety's ask. Like, you ask them pointed questions, well, are you asking for a large number of test proctors? No. And you're going, and when you are asking people to have to make and wait 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to make your appointment, so that clearly shows there's a demand, so why wouldn't you ask for more test proctors? You know, that's where it's just
Complete disconnect.
total disconnect.
Yeah, I love this letter that she sent.
I know.
Yes.
Starting, we're going to increase it by 33%, going from all those testing stations to 14.
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to do that and still maintain your social distancing requirements? Because now you've taken an area where you're spreading them out more.
93 to 14.
It doesn't.
You're taking people from rural settings and forcing them to go to urban settings. And,
Right.
and a lot of these people are driving 2 hours each way.
Oh, easily.
So, the solution is, okay, now the legislator gave them the permission to administer online permit testing that'll be rolling out within the next 6 weeks. I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent to that because it's one thing to get an online snowmobile license, an online boating license. Your chance of having an interaction with another vehicle is far less than that of an automobile. So I think that there's a level of integrity you have to hold to that in making sure that the person actually read it and answered the questions themselves and it wasn't done by somebody standing over their shoulder.
Right.
Just a little concern that I have with that. And then on top of it, then they added the no-show fee because they were saying that there's a large percentage of no-shows that people, yes, and they're working with their system to make their system more robust because there's people that, when they make these appointments, they make 3-4 appointments because in case they fail, and then sometimes they don't get deleted out of the system, so then they end up having openings in their appointments. So they're trying to build it up so now that people are going to hopefully not want to be charged this late fee, or not late fee, this no-show fee.
Well, how can they do 3 appointments when you used to have to make an appointment, you had to use your license number?
Yeah, I guess people were saying that they're doing it under parents' names or different things, that people are trying different ways. They didn't really elaborate on it, but people figured out ways to do it. I don't know how.
Well, I mean, I find it hard to believe with the software that the state is so good with developing and that sort of stuff. I just can't believe that they could actually do that.
Well, and then there's just always the disconnect between the local partners in these communities, deputy registers, that a lot of people think that we operate those testing facilities when we're literally just a partner with them, and the disconnect in communicating with us in terms of when they're going to be open, when they're not going to be open, in need. I mean, I still can't believe that here in Buffalo that 10.5 hours a week. I mean,
No.
and now none, but it was 10.5 hours a week, and now we have no hours.
There's a lot of people in Wright County that need to do their tests every day, essentially.
Yep.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Potter.
you can take all this back to when they formed that little subcommittee to deal with this issue and the backlogs that happened before. And if you look at the committee makeup, it was stacked with metro urban legislators that came up with the thing. They didn't have a good cross-section of people on that coming back with recommendations for them. You know, and it, like say, I totally agree with you. How can you go from this many testing stations to that and increase efficiency? That doesn't make any sense. And have people drive 2 hours one way and wait, and hopefully they get it that day. That just doesn't make sense at all. So, Commissioner Vetch, have you had a conversation with John Howe on this?
Not directly. I mean, he's the committee chair on that. He was answering questions through it, but I haven't directly spoken with him, no.
And he's got a direct pipeline to the governor and everything else, so that's the one you want to keep on him, because even though the Commissioner of Public Safety, Bruce Gordon, actually lives in Wright County, he's only an underlying figure. Howe has got more of the direct ear when you want to speak loud. He's the one you want to talk to. It's unfortunate because sometimes when they do these subcommittees, people don't, the smoke-filled back room that they talk about, the subcommittees are the ones that come out, and how they stack those is the dynamics of what we got to deal with later on. And you've got to see the first because they did this, that's what came there, and of course then they kind of rubber stamp it through there. But I do applaud Commissioner Vetch for going down there and staying on it.
Thank you for doing that.
It's going to be an
huge.
ongoing discussion, so,
Yep, for sure. So,
Yeah, it's not something we're gonna give up with,
no.
No,
because it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, and, you know, going back and finding out that they have this special testing procedure for school bus drivers. And, you know, and then there's a huge shortage of truckers
Yeah.
and a huge shortage of buses, you know, like
City buses.
trailblazers, you know.
yep, oh, yeah.
And there's shortage of
That's it.
drivers for that, so it defies logic. But as Commissioner Potter always says, there should be no logic going on down there.
And my thing about it is I think it's funny because some of the conversations about surrounded diluting down the tests to make them faster. And I'm thinking, like this, okay, more people die on the road than anywhere else almost, so I'm going.
Make it easier, yeah.
And I'm thinking this isn't that isn't the solution. It's not to find efficiencies in getting devaluing the test. I mean, at what point is it not just making more opportunities? I mean, putting more test proctors out there. I don't understand why that is.
I know.
I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. But I feel like DPS basically walked into a perfect storm. They had the whole Minlars thing that had all their attentions, and then Real ID fell on them. We pushed that can down the road so long that it basically ran into Minlars, and then you have the test proctoring that basically went unchecked and unmanaged for years to a huge problem, and then you get COVID, and now, I
mean, the taxpayers and citizens of Minnesota deserve way better than we're getting from them, for sure, so.
I really feel for those people that are gonna have to drive that far to go get a test.
They do now. I mean.
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
now it's even worse.
It's even worse, but I mean, a lot of people in Wright County, they take their kids up to Brainerd or down to Rochester or whatever. They've been doing that for, well, I've heard about it for a couple of years.
Jolene
but-
Foss brought her son down to New Ulm.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that was the fastest, even though she's
Yep.
up in St. Cloud, it's
Another one.
faster to go down New Ulm and get tested.
Yep. Yeah,
I know so many people that have driven ridiculous distance to get a driver's license. It's
Yeah, well, there's one that was, after your posting about what you were doing down there,
yeah.
they were gonna have to go to Bemidji.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
it is.
But, right, 33% faster now.
All right.
More.
Well, appreciate what you're doing. Commissioner Burrell, do you have any updates?
No, I did not have anything today, Madam Chair.
All right, and mine, we already did. Thanks to Sarah for helping me through it. Yeah. Commissioner Delighten.
Oh, last week the Wellness Committee met, FIVA WebEx. They've, have some bathroom posters, available, which actually there was a couple of them that I really liked. I printed them out and put them at my shop, but, I don't have a black and white printer.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There's a couple that actually I want to print for back here.
Okay.
That I thought were pretty kind of neat. They have a summer virtual poker walk.
See that coming up?
Yep, and there's quite a few people. The Path to Positivity, they had 181 individuals enrolled in that program. And then there's also be a 5-part resiliency webinar series through the summer you can sign up for. So I'd urge all employees to do that. That's under the tab on on the wellness page. And it sounds like the branded face coverings, they've been getting distributed very well. I don't know if you guys got yours, I got mine. It's nice, it works out well.
Oh, that neck one, or?
Yep, so you can wear it, and it's got instructions on the back on how the different ways you can wear it, but
Okay.
I thought it was
Yeah,
kind of nice.
I haven't got
Is that how you made a withdrawal from the bank to get your pull shed?
Yep, worked good. Yeah, I had to cover up the Wright County thing though. And they talked about what their budget is, what they have left. And some of this money, just so that you're aware of, gets funded through administration, which isn't a whole lot, and then some of it comes through health partners with Jenna. Jenna?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, they help.
So, it seems might be something that we may want to, add another $500 or something to the budget so they can do a little bit more, or 1,000, but.
Seems reasonable.
They seem to do quite a bit with what they're giving. I'd like to get more people involved, and I think a lot of that's kind of on us, that maybe we need to be more involved in it to get more employees also involved. Some of the upcoming events, again, the virtual poker walk is the 24th, which is tomorrow, which I'm also on the radio tomorrow, since
Okay.
I missed last week.
Oh, you did.
Then I had it on my
I
calendar.
did that
know
one
what I
year,
did.
too.
And sometime they'll be talking about vaping, July Mindful Matters Bingo they're going to be having, August Make a Move, September Fall Poker Walk. So they've, even in this situation, they've been still proceeding virtually with different things to keep employees engaged and active. So I think they do a really good job. I've
Yeah.
been impressed with what they're
Yeah,
able to
we
accomplish.
get nice updates. Administrator Kelly?
Just quickly, mentioned of course about the strategic planning and wrapping that up with our group. We met yesterday to prepare for the workshop that's now scheduled with the board, or the retreat on that. Of course, budget's coming up here and some of the logistics, we're prepping for that, and the overlay of how, as we transition into ERP, we need to make that work, as we'll be having new budget codes and such, so making sure we can get through budget 2021 smoothly, but also are prepared for how we transition that into ERP. So ERP progressing along, working through a lot of the data information in preparation for the SIT testing, if you will. Systems integration testing, that will be taking place in July, so trying to work at the same time on the change management portion of ERP and getting more out as we have more information and able to share more visuals of what things will look and feel like with the system to employees and staff. So that's an ongoing process, but a lot of work on that to take place before the end of the year yet. So.
And they're doing, I thought of this after I spoke, but they're having, the Turn team is having a parade for participants that are graduating, and they're going to be driving by the courthouse, near the front courthouse tomorrow at 1:30. So that's a way to recognize them, that they couldn't do it in person with the reception, that sort of thing. But
Is that 3 graduates this time?
I think it's 3, yeah. And yeah, so congratulations to all of them, and I have a safety committee meeting at that same time, so I won't be able to take part of that, but anyway. Is there anything else that needs to come before the board? If not, we are adjourned at, I can't see my time,
10:27.
10:27.